So anyway, welcome. We're just going to get started tonight, and really, really excited to be able to share some time with you guys tonight. First off, I have to tell you who I am, just in case whoever invited you didn't tell you what we're going to be doing tonight and so forth. My name is Dean Fry. I live in the Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania area, and very, very excited to be sharing what I'm going to share with you tonight. I'll give you a little background on myself and so forth. I went to college for business finance, got a degree in business finance and administration and a minor in accounting. Got started in the typical work world like so many folks do, and basically really quickly discovered that I wasn't a good fit for me to be an employee, and I was really looking for some other options, and that led me to become an entrepreneur way back in my 20s, which totally changed the direction of my life. And today, I am so excited to be able to share with you a little bit about the life business, the life community, and a brand new project, which is probably why you got introduced or invited onto this. I'm sure whoever told you or sent you this link told you something about a C4 project or about an app and a startup company that is coming very quickly. It's the 16th today, and on the 18th, this Friday, we are going to be meeting as a company in 3 locations across the United States. We're actually in 20 countries. I'll give you a little more of those details. To launch a brand new startup project, which is so exciting. We're basically going to do something that has not been done before with cryptocurrency and an app, but there's a lot more to the story than just this startup. And so I want to tonight, just in the next 45 minutes or so, give you kind of the big picture and a little bit of background of the company and where the foundation is for what we're doing and why we're so excited. And then a little bit more about the project and why we're excited about this weekend. But anyway, let me go ahead and share a screen with you. And so that I can just share a couple little slides that we can talk about here. First off, the name of the company that I'm going to be talking about tonight is The Life Company, or some people call it Life Leadership. Give you a little background on this. This company was started November 1st, 2011. Wow, seems like yesterday. 7+ years ago, with the primary focus being to produce educational material that would help people in financial literacy, in leadership development, and also in learning how to leverage systems, and we did some personal development and so forth. I was blessed. I should tell you a little bit more about myself here. Usually somebody introduces me and tells you a little bit, so I don't have to. But I am married to Teresa, my wife of a little over 30 years, actually about 30 and a half years now. And we have 4 kids. They're all boys except for 2. And they're getting old on us. I don't know how that happened. I think they're catching us. But our 2 oldest children are married and have children. And so we have 6 grandkids, and it's been awesome. Life has been fantastic. I was brought up in a little place in upstate New York, a little town called Schroon Lake, which is north of Lake George, if you're familiar with the Adirondack Mountains. And I now live in Pennsylvania. I love Pennsylvania. I have been very blessed to be around in the last couple decades, over 2 decades, around some really big thinkers. Often, if you've talked to me personally, I'll say things like, it really pays to be around smart people. And that's really my story. That's our story. Teresa worked at a bank. I worked as an accountant, and just always wanted to create more with our lives. And we met some really good people. And I guess to our credit, we were open-minded. We weren't so caught up in our own opinions that we weren't open to the fact that we didn't know it all, and we needed some things to learn if we were going to change our results. And very quickly, I found out that the reason people succeed, a lot of times it's not luck or just circumstance like I used to think when I was younger. It's very intentional. And, what they read, who they associate with, their thinking had to do with decisions, a lot of it, and the choices they made. And so anyway, through our journeys, we met Orrin Woodward, and Orrin and Lori Woodward are fantastic friends of ours today. I want to tell you a little bit about them because they're both the primary founders of this company. them and Orrin's friend Chris Brady. Both of these guys were engineers at General Motors. They were very successful in their 20s. They're both systems engineers and both big thinkers. Ended up becoming entrepreneurs, and along the line, as they became entrepreneurs, they started learning as they had different projects and different products and services, different companies they started and ran, that it really had a lot more to do with the people, the leadership that was developed, and the community part, and how well you interacted with other people and the skills you learned. And so what happened is they decided they were going to start a company. That's the foundation of the Life Company. Now, just to give you a little bit of accolades on Orrin and Chris, they wrote a book called Launching a Leadership Revolution. That was their first book. And when they wrote that book, it's kind of a funny story. They actually wrote it to be able to train some of their associates on leadership principles that they constantly had to be teaching them. It's interesting. They wrote it as a pamphlet. They self-produced it, ended up adding more to it, became a book. And then some publisher got a hold of it, some big-time publisher in New York City, and asked them if they would consider letting him print it and put it out in the mainstream. And of course it went to #1 New York Times bestseller. It's called Launching a Leadership Revolution. By the way, if you haven't read the book, awesome book. I would highly encourage you to read it. It's a fantastic read. And I'm working with a couple different companies from people that I just met in the last few months. And both of these companies, the people that have gone through this Launching a Leadership Revolution book, were so impressed that a couple of the guys said, this is the best leadership book I've ever read. And these are guys that read a lot of leadership. So read that book. Anyway, that became a bestseller. They started writing more books, 15 to 20 books now. They've probably, I forget how many millions of copies these books have sold. If you Google Inc. magazine and you Google the top 50 leadership experts, you will find that Orrin is typically in the top 20 and Chris is typically in the top 40. So we got two guys, best-selling authors, systems engineers in a past life, so to speak, in their early life, that are now world-renowned and leadership experts. So they start this Life Company. Start the company. We're in the United States and Canada. We have one language, English, and things start taking off. We're now 7 years later in 20 countries. Our materials in English, Spanish, and French. We've done hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in the last 7 years, and we're all over the world. Okay, so that's enough about that. That gives you a big picture of the foundation of the company. So it's kind of like the company is a great vehicle. And this C4 project, this crypto project that we're launching, is kind of like a turbocharger. We are adding something onto a great machine already, and we are still going to focus on helping people develop skills in all of these different areas as we help them now with this new project be able to become entrepreneurs and be very successful if they choose to be. So let me talk to you just for a couple minutes on something Orrin put together. We call it the career quadrants. And what this is what he did was he said, if people are going to be successful, what we've discovered is they need to learn literacy. And we all know what that is. That's basically just understanding finance, business, so forth. Then leadership is another big one. And then learn to leverage systems, the 3 L's. And so he broke down this quadrant. And he said, let's look at the different ways of thinking. So we've got people on the left, the lower left here, that are not, they've not develop leadership skills necessarily, and they don't leverage systems. So they got no in both of those quadrants. And we just call them workers. Now, the funny thing is that is exactly a description of me. When I came out of college, I got a job. I'm working in this cubicle. And I went to work in the morning. I drive my little Chevette. I don't know. Have you all ever been broke? We were so broke. I mean, oh my word. I just remember how just money was so tight all the time, create all kinds of problems and stress, because you know how you think a little different than your spouse. And anyway, that's another story for another night. But anyway, so we were really broke. I was driving a piece of junk car, and Teresa was, and we were working. I'd go to work in the morning, and I'd work all day. I'd trade my time, like the screen says there, for money, and I'd trade them 8 or 9 hours, and they'd pay me. I didn't have any leadership skills. Nobody cared about what my opinion was. I didn't influence anybody. I just went to work and worked. I was a worker. And I didn't leverage any systems. They didn't pay me when I wasn't there. I only got paid one time for every hour that I put in. There was no residual anything. So that was me. And that's a lot of people. Matter of fact, about 95% of people are either workers or managers. Now, managers, these are people that start learning some leadership. And some of you, I'm sure, are in management type situations where maybe you have several employees that work and you're responsible for them, or maybe a team in your business. Maybe you have your own company and you have a lot of employees that you've hired. And so you have some leadership, and probably because of that, you make more money, because typically with increased responsibility, it becomes, more income. And the good thing about that is you can create more income. The negative about that is that you're still limited, like this ladder on the left shows, because the only time you make money is when you trade time for it. So this was where I was. My thinking was totally in the left lower quadrant. I was a worker. I wasn't even a manager. But I just knew the way you make money is you work harder. That's what I had. You guys remember, some of y'all were probably brought up this way, where the way you become successful is you gotta work real hard, keep your nose to the grindstone, all those kind of things. And I still believe in very hard work, by the way. I think that's a good part of success. But how many of y'all know people that have worked hard their whole life and are still broke? Can you think of anybody like that? I mean, they might even make good income, but it all comes in and goes back out. I've got friends that make $100,000 a year and don't have anything to show for it but big payments and all of that, right? And so it's not just working hard. That's important, but learning to work smart. I had no idea of any of this stuff. I was financially illiterate. I have a degree in business finance. I knew almost nothing about creating wealth. Nobody taught me this. And so this was like a breath of fresh air when I started learning. And what happened was I started learning from people in these right quadrants, people that had learned to leverage systems. Let me explain. People, and I'm going to talk more about the entrepreneur than the investor, although there's great options investing-wise, but I'm not going to focus on that tonight. The upper right quadrant, these are people that lead people and leverage systems. We call them entrepreneurs. And I didn't even know. I mean, entrepreneur, I didn't even know what that meant. I used to think the more money somebody made, they were lucky, or they had some kind of talent or special talent, or they knew somebody, or their daddy was wealthy or owned the company. I always thought there was some kind of luck attached to it. I had no idea it had to do with leadership, literacy, and then learning how to leverage systems. Now, how did these people think? These people think in terms of long-term. Like the goal in the upper right quadrant there is not to do something you're going to get paid for once. The goal is to leverage a system so that you can create income where you're not. Okay, so imagine the idea of having a business or a company set up where you create income in places where you're not. I'll give you a great example. When I first heard this, by the way, I was a bit skeptical because I didn't know how to do that. And do you ever notice how we're always down on what we're not up on? All you got to do to find a negative person is talk about something they don't understand. Right? I'm the same way, learning a lot about health right now. And I was spent some time in the hospital today and learning a lot of terminology and things that I didn't know. And it's interesting. But anyway, we're always sort of negative about things we don't understand. Well, what I didn't realize is this is all around me. And it's all around you. Every franchise, if you go to McDonald's right now, there's a very good chance that the owner of the McDonald's where you go is not there. But they're making money on you, on your orders, and on me, because they have a system that runs their company. In the Northeast here in Pennsylvania, we have a company that was formed about 2 hours west here in a town called Altoona. And the name of the company is Sheetz. Sheetz. It's a kind of a mini market gas station type place, but they have sandwiches and they make all this good food now, and it's a great company. And they have 700-800 stores now. It's all the way down to the Carolinas, and they've really expanded. Well, I love their system. Last night I got gas and a 6-inch turkey toasted bun on with cheese. Anyway, sub. I get fired up about it. It was really good. I almost want to get a second one. Anyway, I love their food, and I got that last night. I've been patronizing their system for years, and I've never met the owners. There's a really good chance that they made quite a bit of money on me, and they were never there. They leveraged the system that is the same at every store to create income on me. And I'm totally fine with it because I love their system, right? So Now I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but not everybody can start a gas station chain or a restaurant chain or, Subways. That's right. You're right. But how many people do you know that have a smartphone? How many people do you know that already understand the potential on the internet, the potential with technology now on mobile, even more than just a website, having an app? And I think everybody knows this. Wouldn't it be awesome if somebody had a system already in place, already paid for, that you could leverage just by learning about it and being part of the launch, or even after the launch, become part of it as it grows and get to share in the profit? That is exactly why you were invited on here tonight. We teach people how to be entrepreneurs. We teach them leadership through our program, and we teach them how to leverage a system through an app. Right now, our current app has the 3 L's: leadership, literacy, and leverage, and education. It's kind of like a university at your fingertips. Starting this weekend, and maybe even tomorrow, I'm told. I know some of you have said, what? Did I hear him right? Yeah, Chris Brady said there's a possibility they might be able to launch the actual app so we can start using it on our way to the major conferences this weekend, which I'm really hoping for. So check tomorrow. But anyway, and I'll explain the app and how it works. But the idea is we have a system already in place that you can leverage, even if you don't have a lot of money, even if you don't have a business background, even if you don't know anything about leadership or any of that stuff. I didn't know any of that stuff. But if you're teachable and you're hungry, and here's the big thing, you'd like to have more potential results. In the 2 ladders here, it's like I heard Orrin say yesterday on an audio. He said, I'm not trying to convince you to want a bigger ladder. If you like the ladder you're on and you like the results you're on, man, that's awesome. We're not trying to, take somebody away from what they love to do and the money they're making. If they're in a good spot, that's great. But for people that have bigger things they want to accomplish, that they know they can't accomplish on their own, but if they could leverage something, all that means is we use a tool to make us better. If I'm going to dig a hole in my yard, I can dig it with my hands, or I can use a shovel, or better yet, I can use a bulldozer. All I'm doing is using leverage. I'm leveraging a tool based on the results I want to get, and obviously the tool is going to make the job easier. So what does that look like? Well, it all starts, entrepreneurs always start with the reason why, and that's what this slide is for. Do you have a want, or maybe you did and you haven't thought about it lately, but do you have something you want that's bigger than your current reality? And it doesn't have to be a material thing. It might be, but something that if your income was expanded, you would do differently with your life. And by the way, some people have that and then they go ahead and borrow, and we don't encourage people to go into debt. Our 47 principles in our financial fitness program teaches people how to get out of debt, the defense, the offense, and the playing field of personal finance. Obviously, debt is not a good idea. We certainly don't encourage you to shrink your dreams. That's not very exciting. And so what is it that we're teaching? We're teaching people, if you have some things in your want circle that are bigger than your current reality, just like it says up there under the reality thing, those 3 words: define, learn, do. First thing is define it. Okay, when was the last time you started thinking about, let's just say 2019. Well, did you think about this year and you think, what is it specifically that I could define that I would like to improve in my life this year? Does anybody have a goal to have a better 2019 than 2018? How about personally, do you want a better version of yourself in January of 2020 than you have right now? Do you want to create positive results this year? What's the plan? Some of you do have a plan. You probably spent more time at the gym in the last 2 weeks than you did maybe in the last 2 months or so. And if you have a focus and you're committed to it and you go after it, you'll get better results. It won't happen by chance. You know that, and I don't. I know that. I don't expect results without changing something that I'm doing. If I want to be in better shape, I got to change, then I can't eat homemade ice cream and chips, pancakes, these kind of things. And I got to go to the gym more often, drink more water, all that boring stuff. And you ever notice the green stuff, all those, they don't taste like anything. Anyway, sorry. But if you want better results, you got to do something to get it. What's the same thing with your relationships? It's the same thing with your finances. So define what it is, and then go ahead and learn what you got to do to get those results, and then do it. That's the program. Okay, so what is it for you? Now you look over in this circles on the right here. What fired you up? For me, it was time. And I've got a lot of reasons why. I could tell you a lot of stories. all I can tell you is this. I would do everything in my power to be an entrepreneur. I never want to go back to working for someone else. And it's not that I hate jobs, and it's not that I think they're all terrible. I think some of you love what you do and you ought to keep doing it. It's because of the lack of freedom that I had when I worked 40 or 50 hours a week. I'll give you one story. My mom, we had a tough year last year. We had, last year into 2018. Anyway, my dad, we found out my dad had cancer in October of 2017, and we did everything we could, obviously, but we caught it too late. And January of last year, matter of fact, a week from tomorrow, was my dad's day that he went to be with Jesus. And it was a tough time for my family and my dad. We were very close, and I miss him a lot this year. I'm going to tell you, it's been a different year. There's a hole in my life, as you can imagine. We did a lot of things together. I have so many wonderful memories with my dad because of not having a job. Lots of hunting, lots of trips out west for big game, lots of me going up and having meals with him and mom, and they live a little less than 2 hours from us here. And so that's the positive. Thank God for that. But because of that, my mom chose to stay at their home, and she's 74. And so I made a commitment to my dad before he passed. I told him I would take care of my mom, and I would have even if I hadn't made that commitment. But for the last year, every week or two, 7 to 10 days typically, I go up and take a day, usually a weekday, usually a Thursday, Friday, something like that, sometimes Monday. And we just coordinate schedules, and I go up and spend the day with my mom. And in the summer, I'm mowing the yard and doing all the little things around the house and trying to figure out. My dad was a project guy. He always had these projects, and so he'd get a motor and he was going to fix it, or a chainsaw. And so he had a lot of stuff. We were trying to figure out what was wrong with it. We're selling it because none of the rest of us know how to fix it. So funny selling those things to somebody. Well, what's wrong with it? Well, I don't know what to tell you, but here's what I think could be. But what's it worth? Anyway, so mom and I went through this project this last year, this process, and it was a wonderful year. We grew a lot closer, and we've got a lot of special memories. And I spend the whole day with her, and I got thinking, if I had a traditional job, that's not available on that ladder. I don't know of any accounting companies or jobs that would have given me a day a week off of work, because my dad passed away. My mom needed me. So, I don't know what it is for you. It's not really about me. It's just about options of leveraging a system. So maybe it's time. Maybe it's time with your kids, or, somebody that's important to you, or maybe it's getting out of debt. Maybe it's travel. Maybe you love to see the world, but you have lots of money, but you don't have the time. Or maybe you have a lot of time, but you don't have the money, and you like to go on some cruises. Do you know there's cruises you can take for 6 months? Can you even imagine that? I mean, you'd roll off of the cruise ship by the time, if you eat as much as I do on those ships. Whew, I mean, a week I'm hurting. But they say you go on a ship as a human, and you come off as cargo or something like that. Anyway, but what would you do? Where would you go? Do you have some place you'd love to see? Maybe Europe, maybe out across the United States. Maybe like to see Yellowstone, or whatever. But what kind of things would you do? And you see the list there. What's important? You might not even be on that list. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's your church. Maybe you want to spend some more money on a ministry that you really love. We support some different things. We have a nonprofit down in Haiti that we're supporting, an orphanage of little girls down there. And right now we're going to be digging a well to get water so they can have more water, and so that they can have a shade house, like a greenhouse, to grow vegetables, just all kinds of cool stuff. What would you be involved in if you had more money and time? What would it be? And I don't know, you have to decide that. But that's where entrepreneurship starts, a reason, something to drive you. And then here's how our project works. It's really simple. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna flip through, I'm gonna put these all on here and just talk about them a little bit. We call it the C4 Matchmaker Project. Here's why. Michael Dell and you know him from Dell Computers. He was, in the late 90s, he was the youngest billionaire in the country. And the internet was a baby, and he did a talk that Orrin and Chris went to, and he said, if you want to master the internet, if you want to rule the internet, is the words he used, you've got to be good in these 3 areas: content, commerce, and community. And they took that model and they said, let's build a business around that. And he said, community is the biggest thing. Now, the reason we say C4 is because we're adding crypto to that. I'll get to that in a second. But community is the biggest thing. You got to get good at building a loyal community that's going to do business with you. And so here's what we've done. We've got, matter of fact, I'm going to pull up on my phone here a picture so you guys can see this. Okay, just to give you some ideas of some of the logos. Let me see if I can get that to you. Can you see that? Okay, there you go. I'll just hold that there for a second. This is just a few. Now you see on the slide, it says there's 8 companies there. We actually have hundreds now, and this is just a few of them. You know, IHOP and Domino's Pizza and Buffalo Wild Wings. You see how I always tend to stray to the food places. But Home Depot, Lowe's, Best Buy, companies like this. And by the way, some of you may have this question, or if not, you'll get asked this question. Well, how do you know, the credibility of this project? What would make you think it's really going to grow? I promise you, all of those merchants, they spend a lot of time deciding who they're going to partner with. And they are not going to link their name with any kind of a project that they don't think is going to have some great potential. And so we have a lot of these companies. The idea, the startup, we're partnering with this other company that was and we're going to learn all these details this coming weekend on the launch, but did billions of dollars in transactions. They were basically in the space between the merchant and the banks, the Visa and credit card transactions and all of this. They were in that space, and they kind of had this idea, and they called Oren and said, man, you guys got a huge community of people that are into financial fitness and personal development, leadership. What if we set up an app? What if we develop this app and all of these merchants would partner with us? And what we would do is the commerce piece, we would actually share in the profit, the money for the amount of volume that's created by driving this community of people through this app to these merchants. So it could create loyalty and volume for them, which would be a real win. Take off some of the transaction fees because they're using cryptocurrency, which I'm going to share in a second a little bit more about that, and then be a benefit for everybody in the community that used the app. So here's what we got. Okay, so first thing that's going to happen when you get this app, let me just give you a little example. So you go into to Lowe's or Home Depot, and you get in your stuff, and you got a project at your house, and maybe you got $300 worth of stuff, and you get one of those carts, that are never level, and they're always banging into things when you go around the corner, and somebody behind you does, and they got a project, and you're talking to them, and you're going through the line, and they're scanning all your stuff, your 2x4s and all that, and they get done and say, oh, it's $300. So, oh, okay, and you take your app and you open it up, and just like Apple Pay or Android Pay or any of these, your app is linked, and as you see there under the commerce part at the bottom, it's linked to a fiat currency, probably through a bank account, something like that. That's our Federal Reserve money if you live in the United States. Other countries all have their own fiat currencies. And then also a cryptocurrency that is our cryptocurrency. I get asked this question, which cryptocurrency are we going to use? Ours. We're developing our own cryptocurrency. It won't be any of the companies you already know, which, like I said, I'll discuss that in a second. But your app is connected to those. And so you take your $300 order and you pay for it with your app instead of your credit card. So first off, it's a lot safer as far as somebody stealing your information and all of that. It's much safer that way. But second thing, you're going to get a discount on whatever your purchase is. So I don't know what Home Depot and Lowe's, all the merchants will have a little different, percentages, but they say somewhere between 3 and 7%. Let's just say 5. So you get 5% off of Home Depot. So you spent $300. So now they immediately take 5% off. So that's $15 off of $300. So now your order is $285. Okay. Now that's phase one. You're going to get a discount, and then also there's going to be a little bit of point volume attached to that order. Every transaction, whether it's a customer or member, will create some kind of point volume that a member is going to share the profit in, and I'll explain that in a second. So that's phase one. Phase two, which we're going to launch in a little bit, is when we're going to kick the crypto in. So now when you go and spend this $300, not only do you get the 5% off of the discount, but now you're getting between 5 and 15% back in cryptocurrency. And so this is cryptocurrency that you're going to have in an account, which then, let's just say, for example, at the $300 Lowe's order, you got 10% of crypto, so that's $30 worth. And you're on your way home with your pickup truck full of stuff that you got, and you're on your way home and you think, man, I'm hungry. And you swing by Papa John's. You get yourself a pizza, you go in and pay for the pizza, and you're getting ready to pay for it, and you think, well, I just used some of that crypto I just got. So you take that $30 and whatever, your order at Papa John's is 18 something, and you just use $18 worth of cryptocurrency. And now because you use crypto, you get a bigger discount off of the pizza, whatever it was, right? And so that's how the app's going to work. And so the commerce part, the financial part, is going to be a reward, first off to customers in discounts and crypto, and then to members, that point volume that's created by every transaction is going to get shared by the members. But still, the main focus of our community, if you look here on the right, is going to be not just to drive volume to all these merchants through the app, but anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, we're going to teach them how our system works. We're going to plug them into this literacy and our financial services so they can learn how to keep the money they're making. We're going to teach them how to lead, not just in their home or in their business, but also themselves, to develop good skills and discipline and all the things the reason people are spending billions in America today to go to leadership conferences and buy leadership books. I'm one of those people, by the way. I'm a leadership conference junkie. My church has one, I go to that. My business is affiliated with some, I go to those. I hear of some from a friend, I go with them to. I love going to leadership conferences. I want to keep growing. I am just not excited about going through life trying to explain to everybody else why I'm staying where I'm at. I'm not interested in that. I love the idea of improving. I love looking at 2019 with an excitement for things that we can accomplish as a team and as an individual, as a family, whatever. And so I'm always wanting to grow. I'm not naive enough to think I'm good enough in my current knowledge to be able to have more success. If I want better results, I got to keep learning. If I spun my computer around here and you looked at my office, you would see all kinds of different books in leadership, and some that I just got finished reading, some I just read again. All of them I've read at some point. Some of them I've read many times. Some of them I got stacks that I haven't read yet, because I just want to keep growing. And so we're going to plug people into our community where they can grow themselves through leadership. And then if they want to, we're going to teach them how to leverage a business model in this system and create a great income. So quickly, let's talk about crypto. Okay, so the cryptocurrency. Now, if you know about crypto, typically when I talk to somebody, if they're familiar with crypto, it's either really positive because they made all this money or they expect to, or it's really negative because they lost a bunch. There's somewhere around 2,000 cryptocurrency companies right now. What these are, for those of you not familiar at all, like I wasn't, this is a digital currency, without explaining all the technical part, which I don't really understand too much, but it's called blockchain technology. And the simplicity is fiat money is dollars or coins. They're printed by a government, whatever country you live in. And these coins and these bills that are created, the only reason they have the value they do is because the government says they do. It's not because the paper's worth $20. It's just dirty paper. It's because the government says this note is worth 20. It's not backed by gold anymore or anything like that. The problem with that is now the government can manipulate it. They can print a whole bunch more, which makes the $20 you have now worth less. Oh yeah, it'll still say 20, but now you got to spend more dollars to get the same thing. It's called inflation. Y'all are familiar with it. People that love freedom are really bothered by what's going on with the control of the money systems in the world. And so this is why crypto is very exciting. It's been around for almost 10 years now. People have not figured out how to implement what we're going to do with mass adoption, mostly because of these 6 things. The price volatility. You can look at any of them. And the reason it's volatile is because it's speculative. There's no way to determine the value of the price of the crypto. And so, some people think it's worth this, so it goes up in price. And then people say, I don't think it is. And then they sell off and then it goes way down. And because it's not based on actual transactions that are happening, it's based on speculation. And so, for example, if you and I buy stock in a company, we don't buy stock in a company just off the top of our head. Typically, it's because we know something about the company and we can analyze what the value of that stock should be. If we think that it's undervalued, maybe we want to buy it because we think it'll eventually grow to what we think the value really is. How do we base that? We base it on maybe their revenue, maybe their product line, their leadership. There's all kinds of factors, their earnings, right? And so we can look at that and get some kind of a base on the value. Cryptocurrency, you can't do that because up to this point, people aren't using it for transactions. They're just buying it knowing that someday we're going to be able to use this for transactions. Well, and there's all kinds of stories about companies trying to do that. You can read these 6. I'm not going to go through each one. we've solved all of these. We don't have the fees and the slow transaction time, the volatility we're not going to have, because our crypto is, we're not going to have an initial coin offering to raise money. Oren said, why would we raise money? We're already a debt-free company. We have millions of dollars in the bank. All of our app and our IT stuff and our fixed costs are already paid for. We don't need to raise money. We don't want to create a volatile crypto. So our crypto is going to be based on real transactions and real usage of a currency, just like it should be. And that's why we're going to create mass adoption with all the companies and merchants we've already have relationships with and partnered with. And we're going to have a lot more. And so that's kind of the exciting part. Here's a quote for those of you that understand, or you've dug into a little bit more about our financial systems and what the government has done. And if you study different countries, you know right now, Venezuela, their economy down there is just destroyed their country. And a lot of it's because of what the government did with their fiat currency, which is now basically worth nothing. The inflation was over 1,000,000% this year, multiple millions of percent, which means basically if you had a lot of money that you thought had value, all of a sudden that money became worthless and you couldn't buy anything with it. Families are, it's just sad. There's so many people leaving the country. My wife and I were in Panama in June, and I got to see that country and enjoy it. It was a great experience. But one of the things they said is the value of the properties were going up because so many people from Venezuela were moving there because they had to get out of their country because they were so unstable because of the money system. And so that's some of the things we hope to solve with this cryptocurrency. So here's how we do it. It's all word of mouth. All we're going to do is build communities. It's not some kind of a pyramid thing where the guy that gets the first spot makes all the money. It's a very, very fair system. Everybody gets started the same way. Whoever wants to take ownership and become an entrepreneur and learn the system and leverage it, they're going to be able to create some really good income by doing that. And it doesn't matter when they get started and who got started before them. It doesn't make any difference. They can. It's a very fair system. It's performance driven, not position driven. So here's how it works. You see this idea, you hold your spot. Now, what does that mean? Holding your spot means you want to be a member. Okay, there's options. You can be a customer. Show you that slide after this one in a second, which basically is free. You get an app for free. This is not somebody that wants to create an income. They're probably not entrepreneurial or real hungry to improve their life, but they're smart enough to know they'd rather pay a discounted price when they buy at the same places that they're currently buying. And they'd love to use crypto and maybe even use it as somewhat of an investment. But anyway, that's everybody's going to do that. This is for those of you that would like to share in the profit, the members. And so you hold a spot. It's very simple. We start everybody the same way. We plug them into the first step of our literacy system, which is called our financial fitness program. Our financial fitness program is I don't even have one here in my desk. I normally do, but I took it out of the garage. It's a book, a couple books actually, a textbook and a workbook, and a bunch of audios to teach you financial literacy. I think everybody in America should go through it. The pack is so good and so professional. It is now certified in all 50 states for CPAs, accountants, to be able to take continuing education and get credits for it, which they have to do to stay certified. They get 22 CPE credits for going through this financial fitness program. It's that good. It's good for professionals, but it's simple enough that the average person, a teenager, can go through it and learn how to not blow their money, how to create good habits, how to get out of debt, how to be able to create some wealth, how to not live paycheck to paycheck, how to not borrow money for depreciating items and liabilities, how to put money into assets, all kinds of different principles. It's fantastic. And so anyway, you hold your spot, you get one of those financial fitness packs. It's $120. And then you spend about 20-something bucks for a membership, a little bit of tax and shipping on that, about $160, and you're in as a member. Ridiculously cheap. People ask me all the time, why do you think you're growing so fast? Tons of hundreds and sometimes thousands of people getting in business every day. Why is that? They have nothing to lose. There's no risk. You don't have to be an entrepreneur in the sense of investment to get started in this. So basically what most of us pay for a tire, probably a lot of you thinking you pay a lot more than $160 for a tire for your car. You can be part of our community and hold your spot and start sharing in the profit and get a world-class financial fitness program for doing it. No risk, great upside, nothing to lose. That's why we're growing so fast. Now, what happens after you hold your spot is you'll probably tell some people about this app. It's very simple. When you get the app, it says little red, see the little red button down here right there. Whoops, I hit another button. Not sure which, oh, Venmo. So this is our app, but as soon as you open up the app, there's a spot right on the homepage. Matter of fact, I'll just show you here in a second. Okay, we got a countdown there. You can see our countdown to the weekend and the launch. That's pretty cool. But you see that big blue button says Share Life app? I mean, it's that simple. You basically, if I hit that and put one of my contacts information or somebody's phone number or email, whatever, I could send them a link. They could get the link, download the app on their phone, and immediately they're one of my customers. It links them to me because I shared with them the app. If it's somebody I don't know, say the guy standing behind me in Lowe's sees me and we get talking, I say, "You're not paying retail for that." He says, "Yeah, why? You ever hear of the Life app?" "No, what is it?" I explain, "Man, you get discounts and some cryptocurrency back on what you get." "Well, how do you get it?" "Well, and maybe I don't have his number. Maybe we're total strangers. You don't want to share it with me." "Yeah, go to your app store, Life Info, type that in." "Yep, click that app right there, download that. You're gonna need a promo code," and you give him your promo code. So if I gave that to him, he'd put that in because he can't get into the app without a promo code. So you give him your promo code. If you didn't send him the link, that'll all be, taken care of with the link. But then he becomes your customer and he can start using that app. And even if you don't know, you might never see him again. Every time he makes a transaction, a little bit of volume is created, and you're going to get a share of the profit of that volume from these merchants. It's a beautiful idea. Well, what happens is your team grows. And as your team starts growing, there's other people building your team with you. We call it team approach. You're not in business by yourself. You're in business for yourself. You do your taxes. We'll teach you all that stuff. But basically, as a sole proprietorship, you have your own business, but not by yourself. You're working with a team. So when you hold your spot, there's other people seeing this right now. I know there's a bunch of people on the Zoom right now. I don't even know how many, but I know there's lots of locations all over the place. There could be somebody in the same team you're in that referred somebody else that's watching this right now. And whoever chooses to hold their spot the quickest, the first, they'll get the spot. And then the next person that gets started will be on their team. You might get started and you look on your website and say, wow, I got 2-3 people on my team. I don't even know. They don't even live in the same state. But it's because somebody in your support team referred them to your team. And that's how it grows. And then you'll think of some people that don't just want to benefit from the app for discounts. They'd like to be able to create some income. They're like, man, I've always wanted to have my own business. Man, I don't need an investment. I don't have to build a store, a restaurant. I don't have to hire employees. I don't have to have inventory. I don't have to buy insurances, liability, all of this. I can book my own schedule. I don't have to open the restaurant, 7 days a week, 12 hours, 15 hours a day. Man, I can do it in my own time frame and build it as fast or as slow as I want to. And so anybody that wants to be a part of that, we will plug them into our system, teach them how to build communities. And for those that don't want to build, there's going to be some people just hold a spot and never choose to build. That's fine. What's the worst thing can happen? You ready? Here's as bad as it gets right here. See, I'm one of those logical people, so I'm a bit skeptical. So I always ask those questions like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Here's the worst case scenario, okay? You get your spot, you get a great financial fitness program, and you don't do anything. You don't tell anybody, yeah, you get the app, you probably save a little bit of money, that's cool. Every time you do volume through yourself, through your app, whether it's some of our subscriptions for personal development, financial services, I'll tell you some of that stuff, or whether it's just you're using the app to eat out at Buffalo Wild Wings. Anytime there's a transaction, there's point volume created. At the end of every month, whatever that point volume is that you've created through your app, your personal app, not your customers. If you have customers yet, man, that's added on. But if you didn't even tell anybody, you kept it a secret. Don't tell anybody, right? If you did that and you just did volume through your own app, the worst thing that can happen is at the end of the month, based on how much volume was created in your team with all your teammates working together, you would get 3 to 30% of the point volume you created back, depending on how big your team is. That's the worst thing. And that's all you get. Whatever your own volume is, 3 to 30% back at the end of the month based on the size of your team's volume. Okay, what if you decided to make money with this? Okay, we're going to teach you as you build Team 1, our strategy called Power Player. As a matter of fact, if you're really hungry, you're going to want to get to the weekend. And I'll tell you details on that in a second because you're going to learn all about this. But to build a community, we have Woodward and Chris Brady we're both systems engineers. These guys are so systematic. They've studied Ray Kroc and McDonald's, Sam Walton and Walmart, Steve Jobs and Apple, and all of these different successful people that have huge businesses and systems. They've studied them. And if you study those same people, like I've read Behind the Arches about McDonald's, and I've read Sam Walton's book on Walmart. I forget the name of the book, but I've read a lot of these people and studied them. And you know what I found? So many of those principles I see in our system, because I know our system really well too. And I think, oh, I know where they got that principle. That came from Sam Walton. I see that one. That Ray Kroc, that was one of Ray Kroc's principles. And you'll see they've taken this and built a system so that you, the brand new member that maybe doesn't have business experience, maybe does, can learn a system just like buying a McDonald's or a Subway and plug into what we already know works and get the same results as the people that are making the big income. And so as you build one team, if you want to build a second team and you want to really make money, we'll teach you how to do that. Once you have a team with 10 and another team with 5, which this can be done in a day, a week, a month, depending on how long you want to take. It's just you referring a couple people in your first team, and then some of your other teammates refer some people, and then you help those people and they refer to a few. And the work part is just explaining the idea, and we're going to teach all about that this weekend. But you learn to do that with your first team. You put a couple of folks in your second team. We'll teach you how to do that and then help them. And so you only got, total 15 people in your team. And some of those are probably couples, some are singles. So maybe it's 20, 25 total people. And about half or a little less than half are plugged into going to some events and learning. If that's your numbers, you're gonna have created about $100 a month residual income. There's 11 and a half ways of making money. I won't explain all of those tonight, but you can learn more this weekend. But just to give you some ballpark kind of an idea, when your team 1 has 30 people in and your team 2 is around 15, you're going to make around $500 a month just based on volume, average volumes for that size of teams based on what we know so far. And of course, with this app launching, there's some unknowns that could get way beyond what we think. This is based on really without the apps volume added on there. That's just based on our current subscriptions and personal development programs. And so then if you build it a little bit bigger, 60 and 30, it's about $1,000 a month. You know how much money you have to have in the bank or in an investment to kick off $1,000 in cash every month? Obviously, it depends on interest rates and some other variable, but a bunch, especially with the interest rates where they are today. Can you imagine $1,000 a month coming into your account every single month because you plugged into a system and leveraged it? And now you've got people on your team that, like in my case, I have people on my team that are sharper and more driven than me. And all I did was just let it to the next person and help them and and pretty soon you build this community and you develop some great friendships, and you got people that are business owners and people that are professionals in all these different arenas, and people that had great success in other things, former NFL players, and all these different people that had success in sports, and they're part of your team, and they're growing, and their growth is part of your team. Now they can make more than you. They could build. In this case, you have 2 teams there. If they build 3 teams, they're going to make more than you, even if they're part of one of your 2 teams. And that's fair because they built more successful companies. And it's really neat how this whole program works. We'll teach you all that stuff. If you want to make $5,000 or let's say $7,000 a month, build 2 teams with over 100 people in, and then another team with around 20, 30 in, and you're going to make $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. If you want to make $12,000, $15,000 a month, build 3 big teams and start a 4th one. We can teach you all those numbers, but basically, here's how you get started. I already mentioned you get a customer that you can become a customer. There's no commitment there. You just get the app. Whoever invited you, just tell them to send you the link, and you can download the app and be their customer and get some discounts. And then when phase 2 kicks in, some crypto, and that's great. If you want to make some money, you can become a member. I already mentioned you get the green box, which is our financial fitness program for around $120. We highly encourage you to come to the next seminar. Now, we have monthly seminars that are local, regional, I guess you should say. Here in Pennsylvania, we have one usually in Harrisburg, Lancaster area. And I know some of you from Texas, you have one in the Dallas area, and there's one in the Houston area. And so they're all over the country. Florida has a bunch, in Michigan and so forth. And that you can get to a seminar. You definitely want to meet the community. Now, but let me tell you this, and this, if nothing else, this is the main reason hopefully that you're on this call tonight. If you hear nothing else, that you hear this. See this ticket right here? Okay, you don't have to read it. Kind of fine print. It says New Year's Summit Convention. has the 3 locations: Kellogg Arena in Battle Creek, Michigan; Mass Mutual Center, Springfield, Massachusetts. That's where I'll be. Utah Valley Convention Center in Provo, Utah. This weekend, matter of fact, for the leadership part, tomorrow night, Thursday night at 8 o'clock, we'll be meeting and getting together and talking about what we're going to do. And we're going to be learning principles and leadership and some of the strategies tomorrow night. But for everybody else, Friday night, 7 o'clock, at one of these locations, you're going to be able to go and you're going to be able to learn from the founders of the company, from some of the top leaders in these areas that are going to be speaking on principles. And they're not just going to teach you about the crypto and all of that. You're going to learn some of that stuff. You'll learn how to use the app. They're going to teach you how to be successful in all kinds of different areas of life. Same reason I go to leadership conferences that my church offers, because I want to get better as a leader. I want to get better as a dad, as a husband, right? All the roles that God's given me, I want to improve. I want to strengthen my faith. So we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about personal development. We're going to talk about how to be a successful person building a community, business person. You know, some people seem like, man, they're growing so fast. And other people think, man, I can't seem to get anybody interested. Well, some of it has to do with your leadership skills, your posture, your confidence. I had to grow in all of these areas. I mean, there's you know, at the beginning, I didn't blame people for not following me. I didn't want to follow me. You know, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't understand vision. I didn't understand developing a game plan. I didn't understand teamwork. I didn't understand discipline and running a company, taking ownership. All of these things we're going to cover this weekend from all different angles, different speakers. It's going to be crazy. Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, the whole weekend. Now, for those of you that are brand new, for the rest of us, it's $175 for this ticket. For those of you that get started as a member since the last one, which was the end of October, if you've gotten started since then, or if you're seeing this thing, you get started, they knock $55 off your ticket price. We're a little bit bitter. I'm just being honest. We can't get it for that price. We'll get over it. You know, we're learning. But no, but in all seriousness, $120. And you can come for the whole weekend. And I promise you this, if you're on the Zoom tonight and you come to this, I will money back guarantee your ticket. If you come and you're not totally impressed, I'll give you your full money back for your ticket. If you're a couple, bring your sweetheart. I'll guarantee both your tickets. It's such a huge deal. Now, all I can tell you is this, because you're taking my word for it. We might not even know each other. I haven't even probably physically met a lot of you. Some of you I have maybe. Here's the thing. Not only will I money back guarantee, I just want to share from my heart. I didn't want to go to the first major conference. I had a whole list of reasons why I couldn't go. One was money. To me, that was a totally logical reason why I couldn't go. I told the guy that was promoting it to me, I said, listen, I'd love to go. I just don't have the money. He said, what does that have to do with anything? I thought, what an idiot. How can he not understand that? And he said, did you have the money when you went to college? No, that's why I was broke then, because I had all my student loans. He said, isn't it interesting how our mindset is? Go ahead and go into tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to get an education. And he said, now you don't even like the results of the job you can get from that education, but you don't have a couple $100 to borrow to go to learn how to be a business person. He said, why is that okay? I said, you borrowed to go to college. Hey, borrow a few $100. It'll be one of the best investments you ever made. You know, well, I'm supposed to work that day. Well, if there was an emergency came up, would you find out how to get out of work? Would you find somebody to cover for you? Would you find a way? I mean, if you found somebody was really sick, would you find a way to go spend time with them, your parents or somebody? He said, well, no, but it's not. Well, how about this on a fun side? If you found out your favorite team, maybe you're a football fan, your team is in the playoffs, and somebody said, listen, I got a ticket. If you can make it to that game over the weekend, I got a ticket. You can come for free. If you had to work, could you find a way to get off of work? I promise you'd find a way, right? Some of you quit your job, right? Why do we have such value on entertainment, but when it comes to investing in ourselves, something that could totally radically change our life, we can't find the money? And we can. That's the point. We can find the money. It's just you got to understand the value. And I understand that you couldn't possibly know what I know and the value this weekend. You can't see what I see in the sense that the first one that we went to, that I borrowed the money to go, was mad the whole way there. This better be worth it. That weekend changed my life. I would be working for someone else today. my whole family life would look different. I wouldn't live here. I wouldn't live in this beautiful place. I wouldn't have all the blessings God blessed us with because we chose to leverage a system. I'm just a product of a system that I learned, and that this system built me enough to believe that I could be successful here. And if I hadn't gone that first weekend, none of it would have happened. What's the return on that investment? I have no idea. It's a lot financially, but it's more in other areas. And so all I can tell you is if there's a way you can go, I promise you will thank me. Even if you're mad the whole way there like I was, it's okay. You will be so grateful at the end of the weekend. Whichever location you go to, we have teams going to every location. You will be so thankful. Even if it's difficult to get off work, even if it's difficult, you have to borrow a few bucks from a friend or a sibling or something or a neighbor, you'll be thankful. Pay them back, do what's right, but it'll be the best return on investment that you'll ever make. And I promise you, coming out of this launch, there's never going to be a time we're launching this project again. This is a brand new startup. Not many times in life am I going to get a chance to be part of a startup company, but this is one, and I ain't missing it. And you shouldn't either. Not for me. Don't go for me. Don't go for, the life company. Go for you. And I promise you, you won't be disappointed. It's going to be amazing. So anyway, when you do get enrolled, there's two options real quick. The standard option is we will put you on a 30-day delay for the financial fitness services. What that is, all I can tell you is this: it's a package of fantastic services that are going to help you not just get organized financially, but be able to keep the money you're making. There's credit monitoring, identity theft protection. There is a deductor, it's called, where you put all your finances in a program, and it tells you if you pay this much extra on this credit card, you're going to pay it off this much quicker and save this much in interest. And it helps you get organized and focused so you can get a good handle on your money. That's one part of the financial fitness services. There's a whole bunch of videos where Orrin and Chris go through all the 47 principles, and it's awesome. It's a $60 subscription. I ran into a guy that is involved with a financial company, and they use some of the same companies we use for some of these, like credit monitoring, and we have a prepaid legal, a whole attorney thing. It's all included. And they have some of these. And he went through and he said, you guys have some of the same companies you use, but we sell them all individually and you package them. I said, well, if you don't mind, he didn't know what ours cost at the time. I said, if you don't mind, how much did it cost to package them? And it was almost $200. And you know what ours are? 60. And the amount you'll save just from getting organized will way, way, way more pay for the subscription. Now, 30-day delay, you have 30 days to go through the financial fitness pack. Hey, you get on it, and it's not for you. There's no long-term commitment. You can get off the next month. It doesn't matter. But I promise you, if you use it, you'll stick to it. Those of you who want to go fast, we plug you into a program called Power Player Ready. You get a free month of marketing system anyway. You get the financial services I just talked about. Then we'll plug you into a total personal development, which is all leadership and educational material. There's all kinds of stuff. There's something called Rascal Radio where you can listen to kind of like a Pandora, but instead of music, it's leadership talks and personal development, case studies, and financial. It's just fantastic. And then, of course, standing order ticket, just the tickets for the monthly events, which you'll want to be a part of anyway. But anyway, that's for those of you that want to go fast. If you're not sure, hey, hold a spot. Just do the standard. Get your spot and start learning. And you can change your mind later. That's no problem. But if there's any way, consider coming this weekend. I promise you'll be glad you did. And I bet you will look back a year from now. And, and if you don't go, you might not ever even remember what you did on January 18th, 2019. But I promise you, if you go, January 18th, 19th, and 20th of 2019 will be a turning point. And I know you're probably thinking, man, he sounds real melodramatic. I'm telling you, I'm not a person, I'm not a hype guy. I'm all about logic. And I'm just telling you, if you were my kid, I would tell you, find a way to get there. It's going to snow. Don't worry about the snow. You've gone other places in the snow. Don't worry about it. No big deal. The interstates are really good in the snow. Trust me, I got lots of experience on that one. And just get there. It's worth it. So anyway, that's all I got to share tonight. I actually have a whole lot more to share, but that's all I'm going to share tonight because I know you all have busy lives as well. And whoever invited you, what I would encourage you to do is text them or call when we're done here. They will send you, for those of you that this isn't enough information to hold your spot, you're like, I'm still too skeptical to make the pull the trigger. Hey, I understand. What you can do is text them. They will send you a digital, we call it a first night pack. It's got 4 audios and a book on audio that will send you the link right to your phone. It has a 72-hour expiration. So you can listen to it in the next couple, 3 days and go through these audios. Some of them are 20-some minutes, some of them a little bit longer. Great material all about the Life Company, about the C4 project. There's all kinds of great stuff to fill in some gaps that maybe I left you hanging on a few things that you're not sure of. Go ahead and ask them to send that to you. They'll send that to you for free. You can go through that, and then they can get back to you and answer any questions and help you understand the value of holding your spot. But either way, it's been great to share a little bit of time with you, even though we couldn't interact tonight. Hopefully I get to meet you at some point, maybe this weekend up in Springfield, Massachusetts. But if not, in the future for sure. We are very excited about where we're going. 2019 is going to be an amazing, amazing year. And for those of you that are already members, this is for you. This is what I'm going to tell you tonight, just to get, hopefully you lose a little sleep on this. We had a speakers call with Zoom yesterday, on Zoom with Oren yesterday. That's for all of us that are speaking at the major conference, all the 3 locations. And he was so excited. And he said, you know, what's funny? He said, you guys are all excited about this crypto project and the app. He said, I'm going to tell you, we're going to go to 1 million people as a company. And he said, I've got 3 projects right now I'm working on. I can't even tell you about yet because we don't have contracts and all of that. He said, but I'm so far beyond this project that we're going to introduce to everybody this weekend. I've got 3 more in the pipeline coming. If you know Oren, that will cause you to lose sleep tonight. I am so thankful to God that I met this guy and was smart enough to kind of hitch my wagon to his and stay around this community, because so much of what we have, success and relationships and all this today, has to do with our association with great people like him. And I am so excited to see him. I'll see him tomorrow night, him and Lori. They're great friends of ours. But in addition to that, I'm so excited for 2019, for this company and for all of you that choose to take the journey with us. So God bless you guys. Have a great night, and hopefully I get to meet you soon. Take care.